because their bodies are still changing. And we're gonna check that in the mid part of the season, beginning of the season, and when we come back for Christmas. That's how important we think it is. This gentleman is Andres Simonet from Puerto Rico. He is as close to a stepson as I've ever had. And I understand what an aggravated parent can be like. He's 29 years old. He was one of the first kids to sign up for our program. He did not get his degree. Talked to him at the World Championships. I'm like, dude, how many more credits you got? Get your degree? He said 12. I'm like, get your butt back here and bowl your last year. Let's get your degree in sports management. Well, he won the gold medal in the Central American Games, last time in the Central American Games. And that is basically that zone's Olympics. It's a big deal. Coach Jerry's done a wonderful job down in Puerto Rico. I talk to her all the time. And a lot of her conversation was, Coach, I got a problem with line, bro. How do you handle this? He's quite challenging, but he's also quite charming. But when he came back to Kegel, I was shocked at how bad his physical game had gotten. And I know he's getting great coaching. When I did a grip check, he had a half reverse in his thumb. The ball got outside his shoulder, he had no rhythm, no tempo, swing got low, and the kid still managed to finish 26th in singles in the World Championships. He's that talented. And we've busted our you-know-what for the last 2 months to get his body and the ball synced up again. I've actually sent some videos to Ron Hoppy, sent some videos to Rod, because I did everything I could. He ended up with 3H4 in his thumb from a half reverse. I think when he left Kegel, he had 0. So when we talk about how critical the fit is, it's ironic we had that conversation last night, and I actually have this slide that was already prepared. And the point I'm trying to make here is, if you don't know that much about fitting, you need to start learning. And you need to find some people that are very passionate about fitting so they can help your team. I believe it's critical. And I know Mr. Hoppy back there is probably the most passionate of anybody I've ever met about fitting. He's a craftsman about this. And so anytime I have any questions that I can't figure out, I call him. And then take good information. We've got all the layouts of all the balls, of all the history. We've got notes behind everything. Keep data. Keep changes. We have a booklet on all the team, and we have all your notes from the time you're a freshman all the way to the time you graduate. All right? So our team's training structure is 4 days of team training. 1 clinic day, 1 day on biomechanics, 1 team day, and 1 competition day. And we have the whole season laid out before we start. We have a Bible. It's got every date. This is what we're going to do this day, this day, this day, this day. Now obviously that changes based on the team that comes in, but we lay out the entire year before the season starts. And then they have 2 individual days. 4 fitness and conditioning sessions. Full schedule. They go to school 4 days a week. They're off on Wednesdays. I don't know why. But Weber does not go to school on Wednesdays. 20 to 25 hours a week. That's kind of what it looks like. Clinic day, we learn knowledge and skill development. Team day is how we break down the lane, reading lanes, communication, Baker, working as a unit. Physical day, we're on video. Challenge day, we do skills, pocket hits, multiple conditions. We do Baker doubles with communications. They love, obviously, contests. They like to do sweepers. Everything has to have a purpose. We just don't let them go ball. All right? Everything that we do is all about March and April and getting better. So this is kind of how it's designed. You have drills, one-on-one on physical, the mental game, reading, journaling, sharing. We bring Dr. Dean in twice a year. I think I talk to him every day. He's a wonderful friend and a mentor. Lane play, creating trust exercises. All right? And then the culture, actions, expectations, and everything that we do is symbolic of something. A lot of work. So first we do a dynamic warm-up, and I'm going to show you some video of that. That's just, we change that every year. We've gotten better at it. Thanks to the strength and conditioning coaches at Weber. We've learned a lot more about that. We have 5 drills that focus on 5 components of the physical game that they do every day. They do spare cycles every day, practice tasks, and then cool down. Daily journaling, sharing it, and we do something called the good of the order. There's a ritual that we do where we go around the room and you talk good about somebody else because they're doing something that they see that they admire or they want to be. It really brings the group together. Okay? So what's a proper warm-up? It isn't what we used to do in PE, by the way. All right? Number one, a proper warm-up has to include these 5 components. Increase body temperature for blood flow. Dynamically stretch the muscles. Activate and fire the important muscles that you're going to be using. Prep time to prep the central nervous system. And mental focus component. A proper stretch, dynamic stretch to prepare for whatever you're going to do has to have those 5 components. Right? So this year our dynamic stretch takes about 13 minutes now to actually go through. Here they're doing jump squats. All right. Go ahead. And this is the balance component. Coordination. And then try this one to get a minute. What happened? And you notice Corey Missouri, he's the short one. He's not exactly being present here. Thank God they were standing next to me the first time I tried it. I almost fell down. The proper way to stretch is your body signal that you are warmed up as you break out into a sweat. That is the signal that you're ready to do what it is that you're going to do. And I can tell you by changing this and getting better at this, one of the reasons why we get out of the blocks much better than we have in the past, because the Marcelo hobby teams were great when the lanes got burned. We struggled on fresh. As soon as we got left of 17, it was game on with anybody. But we started around 8, 9, and there was out of bounds around 6, and we were grinding pretty heavy. We weren't good starters. Those teams were waiting for the breakdown. Okay? So what do drills do? They focus on specific physical stuff, aspects. The foundation of a good practice is our drills. It's a great way to warm up. Develops proper biomechanics and aids in injury prevention. And I can't tell you how many kids have had minor injuries. We've actually had 2 kids that had had knee surgery. They already had knee pain prior to coming to our program. So here is England's Verity Crawley, all 100 pounds of her. And literally, if I could have a game like anybody, boys or girls, in the training center, however, I would have her game. That's one of our drills. It's called the swing and slide. Focuses on top of the swing, timing, left side, ball going through the trail leg, the release. It is our most complicated drill, but it also works on a lot of different aspects. Which makes it look easy, doesn't it? It weighs 100. The rev rate's about 375. I'm so jealous. I can't cut it. All right? And as you've heard by some of our discussions, and if you're really into this, it's a complicated game. So now we've got to teach them about the game. And so I would say if you're going to start a program or you're in a program, you need friends. And one of our best friends is, to me, one of the best coaches in the world, bar none, Ruben Gardosi. He's in the World Coaching Hall of Fame. He's from Venezuela. He's coached in Malaysia. He helped his partner, Sid Allen, start their program in Latvia, which Diana Zabulova was one of the first part of that junior program that started 10 years ago. And the kids love him. He speaks Spanish. A lot of the kids speak Spanish. And it just can't tell you how much I love the guy. We play a lot of golf together, lives in Orlando. But he can do things, he's better at some things than I'm not so good at. And so, have friends. Allow your team to be around other people that you trust. Let them experience something else. Maybe something you've been working on with them for a long time that they're just not hear a coach, and they hear it from somebody else that maybe is not an authoritative figure, but just a friend. You'll get it. Then, of course, we teach them ball motion and flare and the differences in layouts. The reason why we do this, the one word that I want to use with you guys is confidence. Confidence. Everything we do has to be that individual and the team gets confidence. I can't stress that enough. When they're confident, they can beat anybody. And they are so fun to watch. And you can tell when they're not confident. I don't even have to hear the pins. All I got to do is watch their physiology and I know what's going on. So we teach them this, really, yes, it's part of being successful, but it really, when they learn it and why, they get another level of confidence. Okay? Stephen Kahn, one of the best players in college last year. Great guy. He came down to Kegel and he interned to get his degree last summer. And he just loved him. We had him over the house many times. Kids loved him. And so I told him, I said, we're going to do a test. And I want you to line up on this lane condition. And I want you to get the ball that gives you the whole lane. And then I want you to throw a ball that you kind of have a good shot with, but it's not quite as good as this. And I just want you to bowl. Because Randy and I believe that you've got to give the kids margin of error. My job is to give them confidence and margin of error, and get them to see the picture and get out of the way. That's it. And when they are confident and they see the picture, this is what happened. Here's with the ball that he kind of had a so-so reaction. And if you know how to read catch, the better you perform. All of the goal here is to get all the yellow boxes in at the bottom. Mr. Mokinell cannot out-bowl bad ball reaction. Now this was pretty good reaction. I told him, I said, don't pick up a ball where, the ball's going sideways on the back end. It's not picking up to 45 feet. Get something close. And there you go. So you got to have margin of error. I really appreciate Ryan O'Keefe's presentation, because really that's what it's about. They're teaching you the aspects on how to create ball motion and to loosen your team. Because the difference between thumb timing and how loose their swing is and their rhythm all has to do with their confidence, and that confidence has to do with, can I miss a little left and can I miss a little right and still have a good result? All right, so how do we manipulate the lane? Team lane play. First game, set breakdown. How are we going to break down the lanes? Anticipate. We got scouts all over the place. I can't tell you how many times. Andro, go see what Wichita's doing. Andro, go see what Robert Morris is doing. And now it becomes a joke, and our guys go down there, hey, how you doing? Oh, you're coming down to scout us again. If we get lost, and we're not necessarily leading all the time, I want to know what the leaders are doing. Because they aren't necessarily out bowling us. They just have more room. Right? Analyze the first shots closely, observe ball reaction, and make decisions. And we make it immediately. They've gotten really good at this. So where all I do is keep statistics. That's when you know the team's bowling good. So we rehearse this in the training center all the time. We'll put patterns out. We don't tell them what's going on. And, because I got the best pattern guys in the world, we do a lot of funky stuff. Don't tell them. And then they got to go out and figure it out. It's pretty fun. Right? So the way we do team lane breakdown, first we use PL minus 31 based upon the center and the pattern structure. So we have center history, like we bowl in Milwaukee, we bowl in Allentown, we bowl in St. Louis, or wherever. 4 players burn the base, and 4 players use plastic. I don't know about you. If I got tug, I got right. And I want tug. And when I give my players a little bit of when they can go like this and the ball lays off, guess what it does to their swing? So last year I changed this and we started doing some experimentation. Instead of having 8 players burn the base, we now use plastic. And we decide what we're going to throw it. And then we throw our best gutter players out on the gutter, find out what that's like. Postseason, because of the rule changes from USBC, we're no longer given the patterns or any particular information. We were on it the next day. We started training for it. 2 players are up the gutter. Actually, that says yeah. All right, so first, 2 players throw the ball up 20 really slow with a shiny ball. What we're trying to figure out is pattern, length, and volume. All right? Usually it takes 2 shots, and we watch it closely. And you got to throw it slow so you can see the ball transition to go from skid hook to roll. And it's got to be shiny so it clears the front, and they got to throw it slow. All right? Next thing, we have 2 players throw the ball up the gutter with 2 different focal points. So I want to see what outside's looking like. And then we have 2 players do a PL minus 31. So as soon as we know the pattern, whether or not we're on the gutter, boom, we throw 2 balls off the base, and we have a quick discussion, and usually we figure it out in about 6 shots, something like that. If we don't figure it out, then we're going to repeat the process on whatever the lane we're going to start on. All right? And it's amazing how quickly they've adapted to it, and they actually like it better than actually getting information. I like it better than getting information because we're not tied up into like, well, yeah, the pattern's supposed to play like this. And now they're brainwashed because they looked at something, they said, oh, we got to make that work. And all of a sudden now all they're doing is they're reading their ball motion and reacting to it. And it's amazing how quickly they can figure this out. Here's our old method versus our new. We traditionally, again, we were slow starters, and once we changed this method of using plastic, we get out of the blocks quick. Our average has gone up 15 pins a game per player. 15 pins a game per player on the first set. All right? So now we've got to teach them to anticipate. We do 2 scouting and 1 data collection. The coach knows the scoring pace. Only me. Coaches, why is that important that the coach only knows the scoring pace? Why is that important? Why do I not want my kids to know what the scoring pace is? Because they will choke every single time. All right? And so I asked the tournament director, please, give me the score sheet. Just give it to me. You know, or if I have an assistant, go get it, and you need to show me, tap me on the shoulder, and I will walk out of the bowler circle. I do not want them to know. I will make the adjustments according to scoring pace. If we need more room, I'll make the adjustment. But I just want them focusing on process, not score. All right? And I've done a lot of tests on this, and we have choked every single time. Like, we're averaging 230 at Baker, and all of a sudden the score comes up, and boom, we're shooting 137. I'm not kidding. It's been that fast. Okay? Constant communication. Constant communication. And the right kind of communication. Okay? When we're in the huddle, there's one voice. And I don't care really who it is, but we don't need 4 guys talking, well, I think it's this, I think it's this, I think it's this. Now the whole team is confused. All right? And that takes a while to teach them as well. So, one of the exercises we do is 2-person observations. The objective is to foster meaningful observation, analysis, communication, and decision making. First bowler throws a test shot. Allow each doubles team to observe. Partners discuss what to do immediately. Okay? After the decision, the second person throws. If he or she hits the pocket, then the observer throws. Team moves to the next lane and does the process again with a test shot. Only the shots after the test shot count. Each pocket hit counts as 1. It's a lot of fun. It's intense concentration. This is one of my favorites. To improve the player's ability to track ball motion for team lane play and communicate to his teammates effectively. And there's an integrity element in this. Okay? The bowler must describe how he's exactly going to throw the ball down the lane. Arrow, focal point, speed, axis rotation, in the pocket. The opposing team will then rate the shot on a score of 1 to 20. So they say, I'm going to throw it 18 miles an hour with 45 degrees. I'm going to go from here to here to here. The opposing team has to have the integrity to give them a real score. So now I'm asking them to say, yeah, that was a good shot. I'm going to give you a 6-15. So So then they bowl a game, and then we have the luxury in our training center, obviously, to verify with cats. All right? They bowl 6 Baker team games, scores and bonus are added together. It's really a lot of fun. Oh, that was a 20, no, that was a 19. 20's pretty good. Okay? And then we break it down. We do this a lot. Practice lane breakdown process. In college bowling, in most tournaments, you get 7.5 minutes on each lane. We use every shot effectively, and we are speeding. Boom. We're getting as many shots as we can get in there so that we can manipulate that lane and plan exactly the way we want to plan. Now, you only get that one game to do it. But I'm trying to get going and get some confidence in the team so we can get going. And usually if they have a bad first set, it's work on the second set to get them going. Okay. Then we practice the same pattern, breaking them down 2 different ways. And a lot of times I'll pick a zone that I know really there's not really a great shot. Just to see what happens when they break them down. It's amazing how much you can open up a lane in a different part of the lane where you're really not supposed to be playing. And again, everything we do is a rehearsal. And of course we have Dr. Dean come in twice a year. And I can't tell you how valuable he's been. Not just to our players, because most of the time we're not working on bowling. We're weeding stuff out. Getting the poison out of what's holding the team back. And a lot of times you'll be amazed at what comes out. And shocked. And then I wonder, when I hear some of the stuff that comes out when we're doing the process, where have I been the whole season? So we do daily journaling. Daily visualization exercise. I sent the team a message. I said, remember to do your 10 minutes tonight before you go to bed. It's really about relaxing and getting in your safe place, visualizing the perfect shot, feeling it, hearing the sounds, smelling the smells. And it is incredible what a difference that exercise makes on the team. We're doing, Kegel Training Center now has a new relationship with a new technology called Brain HQ. I'll be telling you a lot about it. We're doing some experimentations right now. And as soon as I get done with those experiments, I'll let you know. Super excited. Competition preparation activities. Monthly video on YouTube. So every month I'll do something on video. I'll pull something that's amazing what's on YouTube. And we'll do some sort of mental exercise. And then monthly discussion with Dr. Dean and the coach. Bi-yearly. Wish you could come more often. So we believe in preparing. That's like 5:30 in the morning at the airport waiting. You know, Coach, you've never had that before, have you? All right. So food and beverage. I was quite happy when I went to Currituck, to that facility during I coach. There was a sports nutritionist that works there and has written many books. And he just validated what we were doing was the right thing. And I'm not an expert. So here I am, sitting in class like you guys are in. I can't wait to listen to this guy talk. And everything he talked about we were doing except one. And we implemented that one thing, and it made a huge difference. Okay? So our H2O, we do water consumption with Crystal Light Energy for caffeine. Caffeine. Now, I had to verify what this guy was saying about the effects of caffeine, and there's been a lot of studies done recently. There's a lot of positive effects to the cognitive ability of the brain to handle stress and to process information. Large, healthy breakfast. Man, I want those guys eating, but I want them to eat the right thing, especially early in the morning. After the first game, we do yogurt and water. I can't tell you how many times we have eaten something and the team crashed. Even though, as you're going to see, we keep our glycemic index under 55. We control our blood sugar. And every time we would have lunch, the team would come out sluggish. Every single time. And I would hold my breath, you know? And we started drinking caffeine in the water after lunch. And it was amazing. They were better. Now, and I just got that in Curtain. And we just said, listen, if you don't feel right, you don't have to do this. You know, if you got a heart problem or whatever, we already know about it, but you don't have to do this. And there are a couple of kids that don't. Our lunch plan, sandwich, yogurt or apples, high fiber multigrain bread, luncheon meat, low-fat peanut butter, and again, Crystal Light Energy. Low glycemic index. And then for recovery, you want to eat high GI. You want to replenish the body. Because those kids, even though they're at the age, you are mentally spent at the end of the day. Now, if they're struggling all day, I'm wasted. If they got off the blocks and we're cruising most of the day, I feel a lot better. Because all I did was punch statistics in my little computer. So dehydration found to impact target accuracy but not ball speed. It's very important they don't drink soda. It's very important they don't drink sugary drinks and they drink water. And I like it when they're going to the bathroom all the time. Coach, I've got to go to the bathroom, I'll be back. I love it. Mild dehydration linked to deterioration of mental functioning in younger adults. And it doesn't take long, let me tell you. And I can see it when it happens. Other studies have found that detrimental link between dehydration and cognitive functioning, or the ability to think clearly and accurately. And when you're reading ball motion, which is what we are doing, the physical act of throwing a ball in Baker is nothing. They're in shape. They're at the peak of their youth. It's the amount of concentration that you have to be and do this well. And everybody knows that, you know, if you're hydrated, what your pee looks like. If it gets really dark, it's too late. You're already dehydrated. Morning, they get 16 ounces of water. 1 hour before, and then throughout the tournament. We go through a lot of water, let me tell you. Some bowling centers, unfortunately, don't allow us to bring stuff in, and so I'm finding pitchers of water and glasses and running around. All right? Drink 4 ounces every 20 minutes of Crystal Light. So glucose, which is what you're burning when you're really concentrating. Brain burns glucose as fuel, and you are burning calories just by sitting there, and it's intense. It's intense focus, like you're taking a test. Previous research has shown that glucose is particularly important in boosting attention and memory. You've got to control that blood sugar. You've got to keep it from spiking. Learning tasks, it's depleted at a very high rate. High levels of focus and attention needed observing ball motion is certainly a learning task. Not only the emotion of competing together and wanting to do well. Okay? Spikes in glucose can impact short-term memory negatively. No doubt about it. How do you ever heard of brain fog? You ever felt it? You have a piece of birthday cake or you eat a lot of carbs? Low glycemic foods. Now we define that as 55 and under. Now I've given you in your booklet the glycemic index. We've printed it right out. What foods? And it doesn't matter what it is. You can find a glycemic index on almost anything today, including fast food, including restaurant food, etc. So we really try to keep it in this zone right here. That's what we're aiming for. Huge impact. Not only that, but their irritability. You know, their ability to stay present, as we said, is the Weber way, is to control that blood sugar. And I'm telling you, when they're freshmen, they really, you know, it can be challenging. Coach, can I have a candy bar? Coach, can I? Come on. Because a lot of the college teams have, you know, cookies and candy and all that other stuff. You know, and of course they say, hey, you know, you want some, you want some, you want some? So it can be tough. They sneak. And then fiber controls blood sugar. It can slow down the absorption rate. Now getting them to eat fiber, good luck. They make fun of me because I eat fiber in the morning. I bring it with me on the road, you know. Have for a long time. So here are some common foods and where they rate. I pulled this right out of the glycemic index. And it's wonderful. I mean, you can find any food and get a rating. Here's some better choices. Apples, apricots, strawberries. Oatmeal in the morning, good. A lot of the places we stay have oatmeal. Encourage them to do that with fruit. Interesting. Chocolate chip cookies containing coconut flour. Not really sure you're going to find that on the road. So that's what our target is. Controlling blood sugar so that you can maintain focus. Very important. Yes. The ones with peanuts are less than 55. Oh yeah, so you know what? You know what we get. Okay. So here are some of our favorites. Grapes, nuts, whole grain, red, apples, green and red. Randy and I go shopping every Saturday night. Or so, excuse me, every Friday night. We go to the store, we buy the groceries. You know, it's quite fun. We have a ritual. You go there, you go here. Everybody's assigned, so we're not in there for 2 hours. Because if we don't assign it, we don't organize it, we're going to be in there for 2 hours. And of course, we like smoothies. We get them to drink this right after the first game, or the first set. And some of our favorite places to eat, Chick-fil-A, Subway, seafood, sushi, Chipotle. They're on a budget, so of course when you're in college you have no money. You know, so of course it's the first bank of Dell gone. You know, they have me pretty wrapped too. So my wife and I and Randy, we really don't have any kids, so this is really our baptism of being a parent. We don't mind doing it, but they cry poverty, but then they come in with a pair of $200 sunglasses. What's up with that? In our fitness program, 3 days per week, 2 individual custom days, 1 team practice, combination of cardio training, yoga. You know, and of course the guys, when they first started doing yoga, it was like, this is nothing. Not so much. They take this very seriously, and you know, some of the kids they'll admit to me, I don't like to work out, but they see the benefits and they'll go anyway. And then of course you have like Camilla, who's a gym rat, who's just she's actually voted professional athlete of the year in her company in her country, Aruba. She's put on about 15 pounds of muscle in the last 2 years. Her legs are just incredible. And so this really pays off. I can't tell you how much I've seen their bodies change. And we've really got a great relationship with Coach Rassel and the strength and conditioning coaches at Weber. They've done a wonderful job modifying our program. And actually some of the things that Juha's wife, we experienced in Finland, and I did everything. They actually, I actually brought back to them and had them do some research, and they modified this, and they added some of the things that we're actually doing in Finland. So I actually got through it, didn't I? So individual practice plans, they're all individual, 2-3 days a week. Some are the same, the drills. Some are, all of them have a customizable element in there based on what they're doing. Caps, cycles for spares, and they have to master 2 methods of shooting every spare. We do not throw plastic balls at every spare. And we don't throw plastic balls at the same spare all the time. So if we're loft in the left gutter and there's no oil between 8 and 20, versus when they were fresh and we're playing the gutter, the ball, even a plastic ball, is going to behave a little differently because they're not all perfect at going 0-axis rotation. So we strategize, and they have to be proficient in 2 different ways. So their whole practice, everybody gets a practice booklet. It's set up for the entire year. They have to fill it out. When it's time to do their customized practice, they have to come in and sign a sheet that says, I'm here. They've got to do their thing, which happens around their class schedule, and then the coach has to sign the bottom. We look it over, and it has to be signed by a coach. If we don't do that, we have learned that they have ways of cutting corners, let's say. And of course, excellence is achieved by the mastery of the fundamentals. And Randy and I just hammer fundamentals down to that. What is our physical game philosophy? I get this asked all the time. It's a combination of power and versatility, which is what you have to have. We're looking for margin of error, no matter where we're playing, all the shapes, the angles that are necessary as the patterns are breaking down. We work with each individual's strengths and improve their weaknesses. We do not make clones at all. They hate it, but you got to do it like this. Doesn't go over really big. Not only that, but every athlete's different. Okay, so there's Colin Champion, one of our best players, and he's had very late timing for a very long time. And the ball would get to the top, and it would hang up there for like an hour and a half. And no matter what I tried to do, no matter what Ruben tried to do, his left arm stayed out there. It was nice and solid, and he's had a pretty good career. And then I finally put my foot down and said, there's another level. If we can get everything timed up and squared up to the target line correctly, you're going to go to another level. So now, starting last November, we started doing this drill. And his timing got remarkably better. So much so, he was doing thousands of these. And that's how he bowls now. Starting in Las Vegas. He just won the All event at the Hoosier, which is arguably tougher to win than a national championship. And he beat 80 teams times 8 coach. 640 players. We got a phone call from another university that saw him, and it made such an impact that this team went home and they all did this for 5 days. Because it's the secret, of course. Right? So, again, that's what works. And by the way, I reminded him, you're not the first one. There was 2 guys named Carmen Salmino and Wayne Webb. They were pretty good at holding the ball down doing this. So this isn't really new. Right, Coach?
That's right.
And then there's Phil Friedman, the next governor of New Jersey. And Phil was one of the hardest working freshmen we've ever had. Did everything, coachable, the whole deal. Been bowling since he was 8 years old. Couldn't get a hook in a bathtub. Could not get his rev rate up, no matter what I tried, no matter any trick, no matter who I had him working with. It was a knuckleball. So I nicknamed he and Stuart the twin knuckleballer guys. Right? So we took him to 2 hands. He is by far a better player now and has an excellent shot at starting on our team next year. And we redshirted him this year. Once he started doing this, and I'm like, this is what you're doing. Not only that, his self-esteem has gone through the roof. It's amazing to watch him bowl. He actually has a feel for the game now. And coaches, if you bowled, you know what I mean. He can feel things and see things he's never seen before. He's finished higher in the tryouts than he's ever finished. He can open the lane up, he can go low axis, he can change his speeds. Now he just needs to go through the cycle of confidence, meaning, okay, I need validation in my head. I got to win this tournament. Let's blow something local. And then all of a sudden, he'll win this and go, wow, I can do this. And then it's just a process. Pretty proud of that young man. But the reason why we do this is we got to create a wedge to the bottom. We got to create margin of error. And they have to have a physical game that allows them to produce shapes. And especially on the boys' side, the lanes change unbelievably fast. Synthetic lanes have now been around for 30 years. Ball tracks are burnt. We're bowling on more volume than we've ever bowled on before. And the transitions are crazy. And the scoring pace is up probably 10 pins a game in college bowling if you look at the averages. And I believe it's because there's more friction on the lane and more volume. So when the lane cliffs, the lane's going to open up. But they have to be able to do all these things. And they have to have a physical game that allows them to do that, right? Without getting into too much physical. That's what our aim is, for versatility and power. Because in the end, the environment dictates what's going to be successful. Period. And if Brunswick comes out with this new lane thing tomorrow, and the oils change, and the rules change, and all of a sudden throwing it like this is what's going to get you successful, guess what I'm going to teach? That. Because in the end, you got to use a regulation ball, you got to stand behind the foul line, and the one that knocks down the most pins wins. Okay? Go ahead and hit that. And they also have to understand this. And it happens in a moment. This video is a little slow. When the ball goes down the lane and it ring 10s, what do? What's the difference? Do I move? Do I switch balls? Do I change hands? Is it because the ball's starting too soon? Is it because the ball's not reading late? They have to be able to see it and know it. And they have to know it in their head, not because I say it, but because they know it, and that's what gives them confidence. And it happens immediately. Coach, what do? I'm not the savior. My job is to teach you how to bowl so that you know it. And when they know it, it's like watching Wichita, man. I was in there. I was sitting around 50 people from Wichita when we bowled that match. I was not the coach. Now, I wanted to be the coach, but Joe and Randy were on the deck. My job was to scout and to get them to see what's going on with the lane. And so Randy would come back. And I got to watch a team, and Coach V didn't do much coaching. It was very apparent that all of the coaching was done during the course of the year. The team handled it. He came in and said a few words here and there. But for the most part, that team handled it. And when they came off the mat against us, they kicked our behind. And at the time, I was like, man, I want to be coaching. But I was really in the right place to learn. And I was really watching them more than I was watching us. And what they were doing. And how they were doing it. And the physiology of the team. And the fact that he really didn't do much. He was just there. And they handled it. Which means all of their training prior to this match was done way in advance. And those kids already knew what to do. That's my job. My job is not to tell them what to do in the thing. If I had to do that, then I haven't done my job up front. Does that make sense? Well, we're not going to cover that. So, what's my role at the tournament? Drive the car, fill out the paperwork, show the team the picture, and build confidence in every way I can. Period. The more I have to talk, the worse we're bowling. So I don't want to talk a lot. I want to be cheering and yelling and screaming. And if you guys have seen me coach, I want to win just as bad as they do. It's so much fun. I can't be Tom Landry with a hat on and be stoic. That ain't me. I'm as emotional as they are.